You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
Call the meeting to order, June 13th, 5:36. And first on we'll approve the minutes from the May 9th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'm sorry, that would be from the June 13th meeting.
June 13th.
Oh,
What do you have?
I have May 9th.
June 13th.
No, it's June 13th.
Okay. All right, the first on the agenda is a very quick.
I'm sorry, is there a motion and second on that?
I made a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Now, the first item on the agenda will be an executive committee meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, if we could just go into executive session for the purpose of consideration of Supernumerary Officer Lieutenant Patrick O'Malley.
And for the record, Chief, you and Deputy Chief are going to be on that? Thank you. Get the cameras back on.
Yeah. You need a motion.
Motion second, yeah.
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion that we move to executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Goodbye, Henry.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Henry.
We're back in
Executive
regular.
session. That's right. Okay. Well, out of executive session, now into the real meeting.
Okay.
And there's no votes were taken.
So I make a motion to accept Lieutenant Patrick O'Malley as a supernumerary officer, effective August 1st.
Effective August 1st. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay.
Okay. Chief?
All right, so you have your statistical report in your packet there. Fairly consistent, nothing that jumps out, but I would like to highlight, we've talked about it in the past, and it's unfortunate, but we have had, last month, we had two theft of purse or purse snatching incidents. One of them was at the new Aldi, and another one was at Stop and Shop. In the past, what we've seen in the trend that is continuing throughout New Haven County is the gas station, convenience stores, and now some of the shopping areas where the purse will be on the passenger side. You'll be distracted pumping gas or getting out of the car. They wait and watch, and they'll run up to the door and take it. Also, while you're shopping, whether you're in the lot or in the store itself, sometimes it's habit, put the purse in the cart. You go to look for something, they'll come by, grab it. There was some force used in the Aldi case, and these again are oftentimes tied into the stolen cars. The suspect vehicles are stolen cars that were recently stolen, and we're seeing multiple cases throughout different jurisdictions. So they'll do one in Branford, they'll hop over, do one in North Branford. So we're starting to see it in a pattern of one happening followed by another. So the detectives will pick up on these, will utilize video and try to track those cars down. But be mindful, especially at the gas pumps. We've been victim to that in the past.
Chief, are these seniors that are getting their purses snatched, like at Aldi's and?
Yeah, some of them are seniors.
Right.
So-
Easy targets.
So if you don't need to take it, sometimes, just a credit card
Yep.
or in your pocket. If you're gonna leave it in your trunk or don't bring it at all. Do not leave it in plain sight. And it's just situational awareness. Like, it's a beautiful day, you're out in the parking lot. It's unfortunate you have to think like that, but get into a habit. It's more habit building in light of what we're facing. The other thing I'd like to note, for some of you who saw it on our Facebook post, we've been working and we continue to expand our regional efforts. Our traffic team, our crash reconstruction team, our SWAT team, very successful programs. We've done some active shooter training together. We'll be doing some more in the future. And now we've taken another step where understanding the demands of staffing and our calls for service demands that all the departments are facing, we've joined together and they're doing weekly traffic enforcement that they're starting. So the 6 towns that participate with us, they'll send an officer or 2. There's a boss that has a roll call, gives them the directives. They're looking for traffic safety, unregistered vehicles operating under suspension, reckless driving, seat belts. They had a DUI at 10 in the morning the other day in North Branford.
I was home by then.
And what I like the most is the fact that it's a high visibility type of event where there's multiple police cars. They will stop a significant amount of vehicles in one setting in one day. They'll maybe join, split up and go to different locations, but it's very controlled. And it's also more of an educational tool. They're stopping a lot of cars. They're using their discretion, advising people we're out here, especially with the summer months. So that got a little media attention. We're very happy with it so far. We're going to see where it takes us. Again, I just want to stress it kind of augments what we try to do every day here. But again, what call demands and staffing demands, a lot of departments are down officers. So this is just another way of us pooling our resources and getting good results. So we're very happy with that. As far as the forfeiture report, no change since last month, no deposits, no withdrawals. Item subsection C on the agenda. I want to bring the commission up to speed on some of the discussions that we've been having with the superintendent of schools and the first selectman. We met to wrap up our year. There's a lot of school events at the end of the year, as you can imagine, so we coordinate our security with them and officers assigned. And during those conversations, the superintendent had requested that we consider the idea of placing supernumerary officers in the schools. This is kind of a piggyback or a mirror image of the North Haven program that they've had for many years. And I said that, you know what, it's something that we could look at and pursue. I personally have seen the benefits of that program. And in speaking with the deputy, we've mulled this over at length. Basically, when school's out of session, we come to work and we have a sense of a little bit of relief.
I was going to say relief.
But when school is in session every day, it's on our minds. We do patrol checks. We do check the schools. Again, that's call dependent. If the officers are busy, they're not able to go through those parking lots and go through the school. Oftentimes you'll get asked these questions, whether it's the Board of Ed that will ask me a host of questions or just a general public. Well, we invested in Community A, they invested $10 million in building hardening measures, and why do we need cops in schools? Some of the concerns are you're putting a gun in the school. You're going to arrest children. It's not good for them and their sense of security and their sense of being in a school when you have an armed police officer standing there. So what they've experienced in North Haven over the years of doing this is the supernumerary wouldn't wear this uniform. They would wear a nice polo shirt, maybe it has their name, a little badge because they have to be identifiable. They wear like a khaki pants, but they do wear a gun belt. They do wear all their equipment, their radio. What I wanted to bring forth and kind of like, you know, open it up to the commission is really quickly, this is our vision. This is what we see this turning into. We would like that deterrence in the school at all times. We are facing an adolescent mental health crisis. We are facing increased active shooters throughout the country. And then you bring the whole gun debate into it. We here in Branford, we don't have the answers. I don't have the answers to fix these issues in society. We're trying to work through that. So how do we combat all this? The deterrent of having what I will term a school resource officer or an SRO in these schools, our priority and our vision for this program is we want them engaged with the children. We want them engaged with the school staff. And what I mean by that is the normal routine would be the children come in, they get off their buses, the parents drop them off. That's your high cycle time of traffic and getting the kids into school. They get into their classrooms, they do whatever security checks that we determine, then they sit down and they have computer access to our computer system. So every day they come in, they look at our cases, whether it's a referral from our social worker or a detective or an officer. Hey, school resource officer Alves is in Walsh. We had this case, they can see it. It could be as simple as a stolen bicycle. Okay, Bill Smith, little Joey, he's in my school. Hey, have you heard anything about your bike? Have you seen it? To show that we care. The other part is it ties into the mental health and the domestic violence part of things, where we can have that continuity of services where it flows through us. That child may have been exposed to a trauma that night before. We refer it to DCF, but in this case, we can get involved with the school psychologist or our social worker and just give heads up.
In like immediate time, basically.
In real time,
Yeah,
that we
yeah.
care, that we're doing this. From experience, you know, and we don't like to put our personal beliefs, but with my children, what I've seen is they actually asked for one of the SRO's phone numbers from 2 years ago because it was his birthday and wanted to text him and say happy birthday. The impact they're making with these kids as you know, a safe figure, someone that they can go to, just help us, number one, strengthen the relationship with the school population, but also strengthen the view, and we have to earn our respect with people every day in policing. So what a better way? Now, there's going to be detractors who say, you know, this is the concern. At the end of the day, our vision is we want them there as a good figure. We want increased communication. I will say it in every public meeting. They've asked if I go to the Board of Ed, I will do that. We are not in the business of arresting children. People will say, well, arrest numbers are going to go up. We do not arrest children now. We will give them a summons to the Juvenile Review Board if it's something fairly serious. If it's very serious, it goes to juvenile court. And when I mean very serious, I'm talking robberies, serious assaults, shootings, stolen cars don't even make that list now. So if two kids get into it in a hallway and they argue, that is purely an administrative issue that's handled by that school staff. We don't get involved. We are there for deterrence, that safety factor, and that continuity of communication. That's it. So what it would look like is we have the 5 schools. We would have 5 supernumerary officers. They are fully sworn, fully trained officers, highly experienced. We would vet them very hard. We would prefer to keep some of our officers who would transition into this program. They would work the school year. They would be compensated for that school year. Once the school year is over, they would be back into our supernumerary status, meaning that if there's construction work or Stony Creek or other functions that they're allowed to work, they could pick those hours up. We're working with HR to kind of look at some of the nuances and the requirements with that. So it would be 5. We would backfill. Once you're in this program, you're in the program.
So are they compensated by the town?
More than likely what the model normally looks like is it goes into our budget.
Right.
It's another line in our budget.
And then would they rotate through the schools, or the same person stays in each?
We want the same
Yeah.
person in
Now,
that
when you
school.
say they have identification, in addition to the badge, will they have their name?
Yeah, by state requirements, we have to have our name.
I don't know how I feel about not having the uniform. I mean, I think that helps build a relationship between a police officer and any kind of resident or citizen. I mean, it may be a little scary at first, but I think that's part of the identification.
It just in that setting, it kind of softens it a little bit, and what they find is that, one, it's a little more comfortable for the SROs. Two, I think there's a little easier, like, for especially the younger students. But you are correct. It normally, when you engage, the belt and everything goes away. But some of the success stories, so in North Haven, there's a school district, the elementary school in particular, they always name the yearbook after someone very important or someone that they really, want to highlight. And this year was the SRO. That's who they picked to do it.
That's great.
One of the other schools, they have like Wednesday lunch with the SRO, and the kids draw posters and do things. So very successful. It can work. The key is having the right people, having the buy-in, and there'll be a period of getting used to it. But when we look at the school security and the hardening of the schools and cameras, and I hear that a lot. Well, they have a lot of cameras, and they have special doors, and they have locks on the doors, and okay.
Yes, and we are keeping your children safe.
And we're doing that. I don't know any other way. You can have all the cameras you want. During a crisis, in that initial few seconds, those cameras aren't going to do us any good.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay?
Do all the schools have locks as well? I know one of them, you can't get in without being buzzed in, and that's all the doors.
But again, I don't. In light of what happened in Texas, and it's bringing back some wounds of Sandy Hook for us. But what we're looking at this is that's an add value right there. Having the cop there. It's just the other things that we're seeing, the mental health and everything else. If we can kind of close the loop, connect the dots.
I'd like to make a comment. First of all, I'm very familiar with the North Haven police or SROs being in the school. Not unsimilar to when they had the DARE officers in as well, and kids established relationships with them. But I have personal knowledge because my daughter-in-law is principal in New Haven School, and her relationship with her SRO is vital. Vital, because every time a kid, and mostly it is mental health issues or DCS issues, it is vital that SRO assists the principal and all the people that are involved in that. And yes, most of the kids do go to juvenile review, which is healthy, because that's where they're getting the help. But I would say, for anybody who's not familiar with SROs in school, I absolutely agree that we should be doing this, and I think to maintain Branford schools, the integrity of the Branford school systems, it needs to happen.
I agree.
And to answer to your question, Patty, I think you need to come from, we're adults, a point of view of an adult. I mean, we're talking about children in terms of the uniform. You know what I mean? It's just a different.
I remember as a young, like second grade, we had Officer so and so come in and talk with us.
I'll say as a second grader, I was kind of scared. I think if there was like.
Yeah.
All right. So maybe
You'd see a police car in front of the school and be saying, What's going on?
I think times are different now, and I think that softness and that almost being like. It's an officer, but
it's a friendly officer.
It's like a softened. Yeah, it's like a person as opposed to a police officer, which is a person.
Is he driving up to the school in a police car?
But to younger children, they don't see it that way.
That's something that we could work out some of the details, like the high school, the intermediate school. Sometimes they'll have a car that sits out in front, but the elementary schools, they drive their personal vehicles and go there. That's something that we can look at. But again, I did reach back out to Chief Glenn from North Haven, and luckily they're familiar with me, so I was able to get some of their information. But they're getting inundated from other communities wanting to look at how they're doing it, what
Good.
the effects are.
I mean, how many years has North Haven had somebody in the school system?
I've been going 4, and just as I was leaving, I actually was telling the deputy, I got the policy and I forgot that I kind of crafted it years ago. So we had started that idea after Sandy Hook, and then it kind of lost traction, and then they resurfaced it proactively. But there wasn't.
But even before that, you had officers in the elementary schools and establishing relationships with the kids. In full uniform,
Through the DARE
I might
program.
add. But the DARE program, but also Officer Stranger, all of the programs, the bicycle safety, all of them that came in.
And once we start, or if this gets off the ground and you can refine it, Sergeant Romanello, like we talked about last month, did the physics class, took some of the math and did the accident reconstruction. Those are the type of things, the stranger danger and all those other, especially now social media, and online predators. Those are add-ons that we could look at if they need to do. The key is good, seasoned police officers in those schools, making good relationships, forging good relationships with the staff. That's what we want. Want them present, want them there. So there'll be more to come on this, but I just wanted to bring it.
When will it start?
I have to go to the Board of Education meeting, I think, is it August or July? And then we have to discuss it with the Board of Finance, discuss the
So by the fall?
cost. We won't, if it's favorable, we won't be able to do the first day of school. That's because we're going to have to get the people online. We are taking some steps proactively, irregardless. There's some, they will get special training, okay? There's going to be a curriculum of specially designed training for those officers, whether it's information privacy concerns, also juvenile trauma. There's a whole host of things that we will do specific to SROs that they will get that training. So we have to squeeze all that in. Some have it already, so there'll be quick turnarounds.
Where do you get it?
A lot of it's just, setting up the class, whether
So it's internal here.
Yeah, and we rely on some of the experts too. Again, this has been done before, so the roadmap's there. There is an MOU, there's a legal agreement we have to execute with the Board of Ed by state statute. Their lawyers and their side have that, so there's not anything there. But if anyone has any questions.
They're all supernumerary officers, right? All 5.
Yeah, so in discussing this, last week, myself and the deputy were going back and forth with that. Cost-wise, you have 5 schools. When we hire full-time cops, we have their salary and all the fringe and the benefits. So it would be cost prohibitive to probably hire just 5 cops.
Correct.
And then we had some concerns with, okay, they're in the school for the school year, then they come back out. So it'd be nice for us because of the seasonal spike, we could use them. But then who goes in? What's the consistency? So with the North Haven model, it's mainly retired supernumerary cops. And once they get in that school, there's almost a wait list to get that job because they only lost one to, I think he just medical issue, but no one wants to leave. The cops are enjoying it as much as the staff and the students are. So get the right person, get their legs and their feet on the ground in there, establish the relationships, and then it self-runs itself.
So when classes are in session, they just kind of walk around and make themselves visible? And
There's other security protocols that behind the scenes that happen. So that's that. I have some letters of recognition in your packets. The first one was to Officer Richardson. He was able to reunite a citizen with her property that she had lost. She wanted to just reach out and thank him. And another letter from a family member Their mother was missing, elderly female, and Sergeant Carney and Danielle Sarasi, our social worker, helped work with the family, and they had a stressful time, but they just wanted to thank us for their kindness and appreciate all the help. And K-9 Arrow was busy out doing some demonstrations. Sergeant Carney had some.
He's getting a lot of press.
He is on the list of some of the most popular here.
He just had a birthday, didn't he?
Yep, and he photographs better than any of us. So. And then, again, sometimes we, in the shadows of the dispatchers, they're the core of our department. They're the ones that are the first voice you hear in an emergency. And there was a medical emergency, and the family was just very appreciative how calm Dispatch Patty Numberg and Amber Bosso, really two fantastic tenured dispatchers. They are always calm in the face of chaos. So nice letter for them. We do appreciate them. They really, really hold our place together. Other than that, that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you,
What,
Chief.
we don't go into the training synopsis?
It was pretty lengthy. You can.
Right.
Okay, okay.
I do want to highlight that, though, in the training. Thank you for bringing that up. Captain Greg Watrous just came back from the 3-week command school, the Police Executive Research Forum in Boston, Mass. That's a very sought-after command level school. He was up there for 3 weeks. We missed him when he was gone, but it's a wonderful opportunity, and it's a great feather in his cap. The deputy's a graduate, Lieutenant Ramey's a graduate, Lieutenant Eula, I believe, is a graduate. So we're very fortunate to have the ability to do that. So he completed that.
Great.
I actually have a quick question. So I'm Ashley Fawn. I just founded a nonprofit where I educate, research, and advocate for child and female sex traffic victims. And I was wondering, you mentioned DARE a few times. I just moved from Branford to North Haven, so I'm very familiar with the program they have for the officer. My daughter works the officer. I think his name is John, so it's a really good program. But historically, DARE has failed, so there's no correlation really. You're just using that as an example because there's a strong connection between drug and child trafficking and DARE officers and people in the program. So I'm just wondering if they're...
No, there would be no correlation or any relations with the DARE. It's, yes, the DARE study came out. There's some criticism with that. That aside, the ability to forge the relationships with the kids and get eyes on and the information exchange to kind of head off that or be cognizant of those issues. So no, this wouldn't be a DARE program at all.
Okay, because in North Haven, it's not like DARE at all. I mean,
There's no DARE there.
Yeah, and
that was stopped.
He's a very relatable, so the no uniform, all of that has
Yes.
worked really well in their favor.
Yep.
It's very opposite from DARE.
Is that it?
Anything from you?
Report of the chair.
I have no report except just be sure to keep your valuables locked away in the trunk of the car and not on the seat to give people enough reason to break your window and get into your car. And be aware, be aware of who's around. With summer now, and the kids that are coming, they're all out. They're coming from other states and they hang around the parking lots and they just wait to see somebody older, grab their purse, So, anyway, that's my report. Just.
Thank you.
Okay.
And also, could we have approval of the report of the chief?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
And
Okay.
I'll also make a motion to
To adjourn.
adjourn.
Yes, you can.
The most important one. Thank you.
Second.
Second, all in favor, blah, 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 blah,
All
blah.
in favor? Aye.
I won't even tell you.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.